As red states continue to fall into decline, as the country as a whole continues to follow in decline, you're going to be noticing some very interesting things. One of these being that the fundamental existence of how red states operate is about to be thrown into the gutter. Years of propaganda, years of gerrymandering, and Republican influence is about to come to a head with these, especially with the recent trade shortages that we know are coming. They are undeniable. There is no, oh, well, it's gonna get better eventually. No, it's not. It's not going to get better eventually. That is the thing you have to understand. This, what we are about to see, is going to be the new norm. Emptier shelves, less accessibility, and overall, you're about to see the actual bankruptcy of red states. And we all wonder, why do red states vote so much against the things that benefit them? And part of the reason for that is red states have never seen the actual benefits that Democrats push. And I know that can be very hard to believe in the sense of you have to take your perspective from someone who can see the correlation between policy and life. Don't get paid well. Even if they get paid above minimum wage, it's closer to $12 to $13 an hour to do very intense factory work. A lot of work in red states is factory work. And those factories historically underpay their employees and they don't give them benefits. However, these employees are told that because they make more than most people living in the area, that they're actually better off. Hence the ever-loving trend of, oh, you have to work hard to get to where you want to be, etc., etc. As we break down over the next few months, and as things really start to break down, you're going to see people, the undeniable truth of how much Republican policies hurt people. There is no lie there. They push their own agendas, and they push their gerrymandering because they want to retain their power. They lie to their constituents, they actively work against their best interest, and then come election time, they just lie. They lie over and over again. They take false numbers because they do what I call, it's like white lies, right? They aren't telling true lies, even though some of them do, because they have these false statistics. They have very biased statistics that they pull their rhetoric from. And that is how they're able to convince the masses. Oh, here is this stat block that even though it is completely flipped on its axis, and we all know it is very corrupt information, that is still a basis of information for them. So what happens in red states is that over the next few months, you're going to see things crash. You're going to see entire communities possibly even be wiped out due to the lack of a supply chain, because even though it's known to us that rural areas are very, very delicate because they rely on the overall supply chain to continue bringing goods. And sure, some of them may see a slight bump, but the people are never going to see it. The factories could see a bump because they're going to be encouraged to ship domestically more than internationally because of the demand, but that's never going to get back to the workers. And so you have the ever popular argument, of course, that white supremacists love to use, that, oh, well, we're poor and poor don't discriminate. And that is very true. Poor does not discriminate. They don't see white privilege as existing because white privilege in itself is so prevalent. And they're poor. We are poor. We're all poor. They can't see the struggles of a black person or an Asian person or Hispanic person, either due to their own ignorance or because they see us all as the same. They see everybody as poor. Oh, well, we all come from the same place. What should it matter? I got a job interview. I don't see why this guy can't get a job interview. They don't look into why that guy can't get a job interview because he has a black name or an African name. They don't get that because they don't get the benefits of democratic states. Why would a poor southern white guy or woman give a crap about gay mental health when they don't even have access to basic health care in their small town? If you truly want to see change in the country, people on the left and in left areas are going to have to remember you're talking to people who have effectively been brainwashed, and not only have they been brainwashed, their environment is just as awful to boot. They're barely surviving. How can they care about the political effect? And yes, I know that politics affect everybody. It doesn't matter how poor or rich you are, politics affects everyone. It doesn't matter, but they can't see that. The important thing is going to be reminding these people so much that this was caused by Republicans. Donald Trump did this. When the shelves go empty, Donald Trump did this. Republicans in Congress did this. The next few years are going to be vital because we are going to have to hammer it into everywhere, into everything, that these problems are directly because of a Republican-led government.
Doesn't matter what the Trump administration does, it is already way too late to resign the tariffs. Literal CEO of JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank and asset management company in the United States, said that the best case scenario is a recession. Best case! This is a picture I took of Vessel Finder from the port of Seattle. There are no ships here. Look at this photo. This is one of the busiest ports on the West Coast. Empty. There's no point in shipping to a country that's just gonna charge the fuck out of you. It is marvelous to me that the American stock market continues to not be like 30, 40, 50% down. It is operating off of literally just vibes. Oh no, bro, he's just kidding. No, the shipments are out. They've been out for weeks. He's done nothing. There are no trade deals happening. Countries are literally just going over to China, and everybody in the United States gets to pay for it. Not even a third of the country voted for this guy, for the record. Still, I think it's absolutely insane that a bunch of people, especially my generation, I'm gonna own this, Gen Z men were like, hey, 2020 radicalized me, so I'm gonna vote for the exact same guy that was in office in 2020. That is bonkers. That is the political memory of a goddamn boulder. And you don't need any more proof than that to show that the alt-right pipeline and its indoctrination of young people is deep and it's nasty. I don't even think they're gonna wake up during this because there's a portion of them who genuinely think that he's doing this intentionally to crash the dollar, as if it is not going to hurt them and make them lose their fucking job. You're gonna see giant layoffs in trucking, transportation, longshoremen, and then retail. And retail's gonna hurt a lot of people. And then you're gonna start to see it in finance. This has so many cascading effects, and it doesn't matter if there are companies that are insulated from it. I promise you there aren't. Nobody's insulated from this. Even the American companies are going to be raising their prices though, because they can. This is their opportunity to jack it up and get the profit machine going real hard again. We are having a 2020 style supply chain disruption, except with no stimmy checks for anyone, no PPP loans, no bailouts, no CARES Act. The economic fallout from that is going to be worse than 2008. The panic buying will ensue by the end of May, max. Toys, appliances, tech, forget about it. Just forget about it. It's not gonna happen. You will see empty shelves. Target and Walmart execs have literally told Donald Trump that. He's showing he doesn't care. So, buckle up, please.
39% is still way too high. We can all agree with that. However, hear me out, okay? It will drop post-summer. Because as we all know, red states historically are broke. But the thing about it is that they still survive off the fact that a lot of red states have a really big tourism industry, right? You look at Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, all of these, even Tennessee, all of these states have attractions specifically built for tourists or people who are wanting to experience, like, you know, the beach. You've got Disney World, Dollywood, Orange Beach, you know, Louisiana, you've got Baton Rouge. Just wait until this summer, okay? Because these people are still, the people who voted red in these states are still able to have some disbelief right now that things are as bad as they actually are, because their shelves still have food. Their gas is still not that much more expensive yet. Because I live here, I can tell you, red states pay the cost last, because companies know that they cannot charge the money in red states they do in blue states, because people in red states can't afford it. So they take a loss in blue states where they know they can charge people more, and they keep the costs low in red states. However, the unique situation we have with trade especially, when the shelves start going empty everywhere, it doesn't matter how much you think that these massive brands and organizations are going to be able to keep shelves stocked. They simply won't be able to. The supply chain will not be there. And even then, in summer is when a lot of these states actually make revenue. That's when they make large amounts of revenue to pump into their local economies. Come post-summer, because there's no one is vacationing this summer. No one is coming to the United States. I don't care how in your bubble you are trying to still think that there's going to be a massive tourism boom this summer. If you are on World Talk at all, or you just pay attention to global politics, you will know that no one is coming to the United States. They're not even going to Hawaii anymore. So just wait. If his approval rating is already at 30, I've also seen like 45%, some 47% based on different sources you go to. So anywhere from 39 to 47% is Trump's current approval rating. Just wait. Because that's the thing about being poor as well. Poor does not discriminate. Poor does not care if you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic. It does not matter. Poor will affect you no matter what. And that's also the biggest talking point that a lot of white supremacists use is, oh, I don't see how I have white privilege. I grew up poor. You know, we didn't have anything. So how is that a privilege to me? Because that's the thing you have to understand. Poor does not discriminate. And that's the truth. If you're broke and you're black and you're broke and you're white, and yes, I understand people have broke white people still have white privilege compared to black people, but I am saying from their perspective what they are saying and how you could interpret that. They see the white privilege thing as bullshit, and it's about to come full circle. They are about to fully see the consequences of their actions because they don't understand how many tourists that come from other countries aren't even European. You have tourists from Africa, the Asias, just wait. Wait till post-summer. It's going to be very important over the next few months. If you are a left-leaning person, a center-left, or even a centrist, we have to take advantage of the tragedy. And while that is a very morbid point of view, the only way we are going to break Republican gerrymandering and brainwashing is to constantly be vigilant and reminding them. You've got to do what Republicans have done to Democrats for the last 4 decades, is any time one of them complains about the way the country is, the reason why things are as bad as they are, it's Trump's fault. It's Republicans' fault. You have to know the name of your state senators, know the name of your state Republicans. Yes, that is the burden of knowledge. We have to be the ones who are educated to tell them that this is directly Trump's fault. The only way you're going to break the rhetoric is by showing them to their face. Look at the empty shelves in Walmart. Look at the empty shelves. Look at the people in chaos. Look at all the places that have shut down. Look at this rural community in Iowa that no longer exists because the supply chain shortage drove people out of there. You have to start reminding people exactly who did this, because they will try and blame Biden. They're going to try and blame Democrats for setting up a system like this that was so easy to fail, yada, 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 yada. You have to remind them it is Trump's fault. It is Republicans' fault. Because if you do not, they are going to simply be pulled back into the gerrymandering and brainwashing that it is Biden's fault. You have to be vigilant and step outside of your comfort zone. You have to be the person to stand up for what is right. At this point, if you are not using your voice to tell people, it's Trump's fault, this is blatantly his fault, then you're not doing anyone a service. You're simply providing lip service to the void. Do better. Because we are at a historical moment right now. Historically, when Republicans crash economies, they don't win for decades. However, being a generation that is online, being a generation that has access to so much documentation and so much ability to save information, when it comes our time, when we are in our 40s and 50s, and there is a chance that things can go bad again, when Democrats have been in power, when left-leaning people have been in power for decades, when they start to show their heads again, we have to remind people, no, you do not want someone like this in power. We're going to live through a Great Depression. I need you to understand that. There is no going back. We're going to have to be the generation to fix this. As much as the old heads want to rag on us, oh, y'all can't even write cursive, or y'all can't even work on your own cars. Yeah, whose fault is that? You have to understand that we're going to be the generation to have to fix this, and we have to remember that we fixed it and never let it be forgotten that Donald Trump and Republicans have ruined our country, ruined our economies, and they will continue to lie, and we have to remind them of that.